Welcome, everyone. We're really pleased to have you here. Today is the Daniel's Minecraft Camp Virtual Open House. And again, we hope that after today's session, you really understand the programming we have this summer, and we answer all your questions related to the Daniel's Minecraft Camp. Before we begin, I wish to acknowledge the land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit River. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many Indigenous people from across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land. Daniels honors Indigenous people past, present, and future here and around the world, and we wish to pay our respect to local elders, including those of the lands on which you are joining us virtually today. If you have questions during the event, please use the Q&A function instead of the chat. You can find that at the bottom of your screen. We will answer those questions from the Q&A at the end of the event. And now I'd like to hand the event over to Aidan Cowling, who's part of my team and part of the curriculum development team for the Daniel's Minecraft Camp. Over to you, Aidan.
Thanks, Nini, and welcome everyone. We're really happy you could join us today. As many of you know, we started the Daniel's Minecraft Camp last summer. So excuse me one second. Yeah, so we started it last summer, and it was so well received by parents and participants that we've been running it as a weekend half-day program throughout the year. You'll see on the screen, you'll see work that was created last summer and throughout this year. We've got some really fun things to show you. So this program has been really successful, not only because Minecraft is a game, but it's also a really powerful design tool that fosters creativity and collaboration. So we're really excited to be launching the new sessions for this summer. Now, the Daniel's Minecraft Camp is a collaboration with two amazing student groups. We have U of T Esports and Applied Architecture, Landscape, and Design Group, AALD. We are so lucky to be working with such smart and creative designers and gamers, and we'll have a chance to hear from them later in the open house. So the Daniel's Minecraft Camp uses your participants' love of Minecraft to explore the fundamentals of design and architecture, all the while building teamwork and communication skills. The program is designed for participants aged 8 to 14, so that's grades 3 to 8, and is really a place where youth can learn about architecture and design, but building alongside their peers on a private Minecraft server. So our program takes place on a private Minecraft server and on Zoom. So to participate in the program, all you'll need is a computer with reliable internet, a Zoom account, and a Minecraft Java edition. We recommend that participants have a webcam so that they can be on screen with their fellow campers, but it's not totally necessary. We also recommend that participants use a mouse, as it can be sort of an easier way to build on Minecraft, but again, this is not necessary. All you need to join our program is a Zoom account and the Minecraft Java edition. Now, please note, our server is only compatible with the Minecraft Java edition. So other versions of the game aren't actually compatible with our server. This summer, we are offering the Daniel's Minecraft Camp as a 1-week full-day camp and a 2-week half-day camp with sessions in the morning and the afternoon. So we sent surveys to families and saw that there's a need for flexibility in scheduling. So we've built these two options into the camp. So we'll be offering the 1-week full day and 2-week half day sessions starting June 28th, all the way until September 3rd. So there's lots of options. This summer, we've developed 2 new curriculums. So we have level 1, which is focused on cityscapes, and level 2, which is focused on world building and game design. Level 1 uses Minecraft to introduce urban design, city planning, community building, mapping, and introducing various careers in architecture to consider how communities around the world build over time. So basically, from the cities of antiquity to the drones and automated cars of the cities of the future, level 1 will allow participants to learn about themes of architecture and design while developing visual thinking, problem solving, and working collaboratively. Now, level 2 focuses on large-scale world building and storytelling through game design. You'll see some of these amazing worlds on screen, and a lot of them have come from this level 2, where participants work collaboratively and creatively to develop interactive worlds and games. Level 2 uses storyboarding, set design, and storytelling to develop and build parts of the Minecraft world in a team setting. Now, in both level 1 and 2, we keep a ratio of 5 participants to 1 leader. So I'll give you a sort of breakdown of what a day at the Daniels Minecraft sort of looks like. So it's quite simple. Participants will receive an email with a Zoom link for that day. After everybody logs on to Zoom, our camp leaders introduce what we're going to do that day. In the morning, the entire camp is together on Zoom. And this is where we take attendance, go over camp rules, do presentations about architecture, and explain our activities for the day. After the presentations, participants go into breakout rooms with their camp leaders, and that's when we open the server. So the breakout rooms allow for our leaders to guide participants through the activities and answer questions. We keep the ratio in the breakout rooms 1 to 5, and that's really where, the teams start working together, working collaboratively, and building that kind of strong camp team. Anything we build in our program is always followed by a show and tell, where we share with each other our progress and motivations for our various builds. And that's also really where we work on communication skills and sharing our successes. We always like to incorporate participants' builds into the mini games that we play. So an example of this is we do a presentation on the features of medieval architecture and city building in medieval times. The activity for the day is to brainstorm, design, and build a medieval fort with your team. Once the activity is over, we then use everyone's forts to play a huge capture the flag game. So participants get to see the moats, the turrets, and all the architectural features that they've built in action. Depending on if you do the full day or the half day program, we always schedule in bio breaks and time for lunch, and a more detailed sample day is available on our website. So like I said earlier, we are so lucky to be working with 2 student groups, U of T Esports and Applied Architecture Landscape and Design Group, AALD. They bring so much content and energy and ideas and knowledge to this program. So I'll start by introducing the newest addition to our team, Sadi Wali and Sadat Anwar from AALD, who are helping us create content for our lectures and infuse our curriculum with cutting-edge architectural examples and contemporary themes of architecture. So welcome, Sadi and Sadat.
Thank you, Aidan. Thank you for the introduction. So let me tell you a little bit about AALD, Applied Architecture, Landscape, and Design. It's a student-led club where we help students at the faculty learn and get better at architectural software, such as Rhino 3D, Grasshopper, AutoCAD, Illustrator, Photoshop, and more. We are really excited to be a part of the Minecraft Summer Camp this year and to share our knowledge of architecture with the participants. We will introduce the participants to various architectural styles, architects, starchitects, interesting buildings and monuments, and many more. There is a lot about architecture beyond just buildings, and that includes modern technologies like drones, robots, organic materials, and crazy architects who are 3D printing with shrimp shells to replace plastic and etc. And we'll be talking about all of them during our sessions at the camp. On that note, I would like to invite my peer and Vice President of ALD, Sadi Wali, to share a few words.
Thanks, Sadat. In addition to all the interesting architects and architectural styles, we're also looking forward to teaching participants about the importance of planning and representation, as we have learned through our education at U of T Daniels. I think that Minecraft, the great thing about delivering lessons in Minecraft is that participants can apply the architectural knowledge they learn immediately to their creations. All of us at ALD really value the importance of learning through doing, and Minecraft presents an excellent opportunity to do just that.
Thank you, Sadie and Sadat. We're so happy to have you on board this summer. And I'm super curious to know more about this 3D printing with shrimp shells. That sounds awesome. So thanks again. I'd really like to introduce to you the University of Toronto esports and our camp supervisor, Paulo de Guzman, who is joined by our amazing camp leader, Kat Bursak. So just a little disclaimer, Paulo and Kat have been integral to the creation and development of this program, and they're always coming up with new and creative ways to engage our participants online. I will pass the floor over to you, Paulo.
Yeah, thanks, Aiden. So we just finished up the summer session of the Minecraft camp, which was another, we just finished up the winter session, which was one of those half-day things. But over the summer, we'll be doing those, the full week camps and also the half-day camps. So I'll just give you guys a really brief look into the server and what we have. So I'm going to start sharing my screen here, Tim. Here we go. So on the server, what we tried to do is try to give the kids a really big blank canvas to kind of build what they want. And integral to that is giving them a lot of different biomes which they can be working in. Minecraft offers some really unique ones like mountains and jungles, but we tried to go an extra step and add a few really creative ones. This is one of the fun ones that we designed. Kind of like a Badlands Mesa biome. Some kids get really cool ideas of building kind of pueblos and stuff within cliffs. So this kind of gives them that opportunity to do so. We have oceans, and then we have some nice fantasy ones because of course at the end of the day Minecraft is a game, and it's about allowing the kids to use their creativity to explore and design things to whatever they'd like. So by incorporating a few fantasy and kind of out there elements, the kids really get excited and come up with some really crazy ideas. So of course, this isn't where we actually do the building. This is just kind of a hub area. So what I'm going to do is kind of show you guys around the camp area that we have for the winter. So out here, you may see some of the builds, which some of the kids have done. Here is a unique one from the winter where the game that Aiden was talking about earlier, where we designed a medieval fort. This is the fort that some of the kids made for their game, but they decided to also use it in another build. So we're looking at the Camp 2, which is world design or world building and game design. So they designed a world around one of the previous builds here where they have this giant fort, and then they built a city around it and designed a game based around a zombie apocalypse. So the kids will start in the big fort, and then they'll have to survive waves of zombies. And this comes about through a lot of brainstorming with the kids and a lot of group work and teamwork, as they have to kind of combine all their interests and also building skills, but also learn together to kind of create a small world like this. And of course, I won't show you everything, but it really goes crazy, and the kids, once they find an idea and they pick up on it, they'll keep following the trail of crumbs and really make some incredible worlds. So we have a camp leader here, Kat, who worked really closely with some of the kids on Camp 2, and I'm gonna go over to her and she can show off some of the builds that her and her kids did. Kat, if you can go into creative really quickly, and then I'll pass the mic to you. Okay.
All right, so I think the first important point to know about the distinction between Camp 2 and Camp 1 is that in Camp 1, we're talking about the general styles of architecture as they move throughout history. And then in Camp 2, we're taking all of this knowledge that we've acquired and then using it to build a new sort of a game within the game of Minecraft that incorporates specific elements that the kids might have really enjoyed using in a previous session. So as we can see here, this was my Saturday group's game, and we could see a lot of influences of modern architecture just because it was they liked the idea of lab escape. So we use a lot of really clean, crisp materials and glass and elements of science fiction as well. So we have this character of a mad scientist, and the basic premise of the game is you have to complete challenges that this character gives you. And as you go throughout the game, the challenges get more difficult. They cover different mechanics of the game. So like an obstacle course, for example, or a scavenger hunt, or a maze, or fighting actual mobs in the game. So as they make these challenges, they also try and decorate the rooms as if it were an actual laboratory that a person would make if they were a mad scientist. So I found that if they got into this character, which they did really well by examining a story arc and trying to make their own sort of elements of the story, they really found it interesting to make their own plot line. And here we can see that they used a lot of influences from culture and also different styles of art. So this is based off of Frida Kahlo's Blue Room. So it's a maze where inside each room there's walls covered in paintings, and you have to go through the walls to find the exit into the next room. And it becomes really difficult and confusing because all the rooms look the same and they're all covered in paintings. So you have to really use the mechanics of the game in order to find out which way to go next. And it's a really creative idea because you find that as soon as you start mixing elements of both architecture that we covered in Camp 1, as well as the world at large, it makes a really engaging concept. And you can see here, I'm struggling with this just because it gets really confusing. So now I'm going to show you in spectator mode what this looks like at the end. So in this view, you could see it's a pretty disorienting maze. And once we finish this, we end up in a little cave where you have to follow the signs to get through, which adds a whole different level of ambience here. And now we're in another room back with the mad scientist. And the challenge here is we gave them a lot of dialogue lines as well, which are going to be hard to see with Paula's view. But basically, you can interact with the characters through plugins that we have on our own server. And the premise here is you have to collect tools and armor as you go along. So you would open the chests, and then they'd ask you to memorize this pattern on the wall so you can replicate it once you enter the next room. And if you replicate the pattern on this table, we designed it so that it opens the room to this final arena, which goes through a mine shaft. And they really use a lot of different building techniques, I found, because this we covered styles like this when we covered medieval building last session, with the use of a lot of different stone types and wooden scaffolding and reinforcements. And once you enter this room over here, it's a trap. So as you can see, it's already been detonated because we've played through this, but now the player has to really run over so as to not fall into the pit. And now we entered this last room where you have to defeat waves of enemies that are trying to prevent you from escaping the lab. And the goal here is to get to the top of the map where we made a obstacle course challenge. And then once you get to this point, you can shoot the target in the middle, which opens up an exit for you. And then one of them designed a little sort of winning platform where you get cake, but now we ate all the cake, so.
And I think here it's really important to know that all of these ideas and designs came up were by the kids. So they start with that little initial idea of the laboratory. And then as somebody builds one little thing, they find that there's a cool idea there and they keep expanding on it, which is, so one kid discovered that he could incorporate they could incorporate the Frida Kahlo Blue Room, and then they designed a maze out of that. And then, something has to go at the end of that. So somebody else put something there. And it's just this really big collaborative effort with the kids, all sparking off the idea of one common world theme. And it's really beautiful to see what they can come up with over the few weeks, or in the case of the summer, over the week or two. So I think that's all we have to show for the camp from what we have last session. So I'll stop sharing my screen here.
Thank you so much, Paolo and Kat. I'm always so impressed with the concepts and stories that the teams come up with, and then how they incorporate all the different architectural styles into that story. I mean, starting with just a mad scientist lab and developing it from there into this epic story is always super impressive. And the level of creativity that people come with is incredible. So I'm really excited to see all the new stories that people create this summer, and the new biomes and the new forms of engagement with them. So just before we open things up for questions, I just wanted to mention that all of our fees are listed on our website. We're offering a 10% discount for all U of T staff, faculty, students, and alumni. So we will post a link to that in the chat. And I see we already have a few questions, but feel free to use the Q&A function at the bottom of your Zoom screen to ask any questions, and we will try to answer them.
All right, thanks. So I'm going to just field the questions here. So I think Paolo, could you speak to the use of World Edit?
Sure. So World Edit gives the user incredible capabilities to build supermassive structures and stuff on the server. And while this would be really, really awesome to give all of the kids, unfortunately, it does pose sort of a security issue. So we've limited it to the leaders. So there will be World Edit on the server, and the kids historically have just asked their leaders to do basic World Edit stuff for them. So the kids will still be doing the bulk of the design and planning work, but the leaders can do the heavy lifting when it comes to stuff like World Edit.
Terrific. And then there was a question around the actual software. And so we have put in the chat the OS requirements, the operating system requirements. It does require a laptop. So you'll see that on the actual website that we've given the link to the website for Minecraft Java version, but it does require either Windows, Mac OS, or Linux or Linux. And so you do need to have that in order to be able to operate. So the other question that's come through is really asking around the advantages, disadvantages of a full week versus a 2-week half day. And we polled families because we thought that some kids do find it hard to be online all day, and other kids really prefer the full day format. So it is a matter of what the comfort is for your child. And when we polled parents, it was split pretty much half and half. So some families really wanted the kind of compressed full week, and some families really wanted a half day 2-week. And so that's why we're offering both. And it's really up to you to kind of think about this with your child, because it is screen time. So some youth don't like that much screen time, and other people prefer for their schedule for the summer, it makes more sense to be a compressed. So it's not, both are really good options. It is the same curriculum. It's just delivered over either a half day, 2-week, or a full day, 1 week. So I hope that answers your question. Aidan, do you want to speak to recommendations about completing level 1 before level 2?
Yeah, sure. So obviously level 1 sort of feeds into level 2. So we do sort of recommend that people start with level 1, but if your participant is already a fairly active Minecraft user and is already really familiar with the software, they can sort of start with level 2.
And could you just explain, because the next question is really just asking the main differences between levels 1 and 2?
Sure. So sort of like we highlighted, level 1 is really about going into features of architecture and city building. So we really start looking at the ways in which communities across the world have really built their cities. And we use that to kind of do a survey of architectural history. We also use that survey of architectural history to kind of look at different aspects of Minecraft, right? So we start small and we sort of build off of those skills. Level 2 is sort of taking a lot of those concepts and those ideas, and the expectation is that in level 2, you sort of are familiar with Minecraft and you're able to succinctly kind of move throughout the software and basically use those ideas of architecture and design to build a really incredible narrative and story in a world.
Thanks, Aiden. Another question that we have is around the age group. So this person is asking about their 13-year-old daughter and friend. Do we have a lot of 13-year-olds? Should they do the first session if they've not done it before? So do you want to just talk to the range of ages and again, whether you recommend level 1 first or?
Yeah, so we have a wide variety of ages in both levels. So in level 1, because we try to keep the ratio of 1 to 5, we try to keep the older kids together. So if your daughter is 13, there's often kids in that same group who are 11, 12, 13. So we can definitely accommodate a 13-year-old in level 1. And we try to keep the kids in the same sort of age group. And then our camp leaders are really kind of used to meeting kids where they're at, right? So if their level of Minecraft is very high, they can sort of like push them to build even more complex structures. If the participant has a really cool idea and it's quite complex and intellectually rigorous, it's like our camp leaders are ready to sort of take that idea and really, really help them kind of complete it. So we welcome older kids into level 1 and level 2.
Thanks, Aiden. So one question that's being asked is around if they've completed a previous program. So really they can stay in level 1 if they wanted to, or they could move on to level 2. We really do think that it's best if they try level 1 first and then go on to level 2. But again, it's that comfort level. So I think with your child, you can have that discussion, and we're no matter what, it's set up so that your child will succeed, and so they'll be with like-minded children, so of similar ages, of similar kind of skill sets. So I think that should work no matter what. But again, we can sort of talk to you and your child together if you need that as well. Yes, the programs do run so that you can take level 1 earlier in the summer and level 2 later. They are offered. So throughout the summer, we're offering both levels. So that's why you'll see so many options, because we have full day, half day, level 1, level 2. So when you're scrolling through the Camp Brain registration, you'll see there's a ton of options. So we've done that purposefully so that you could try both levels throughout the summer if you wish. And then asking about whether this type of programming will continue to be offered online. We anticipate that there will always be now an offering that is an online version. It does allow us to have a lot of participants from around the world join us, which we think is a really wonderful, valuable thing. There is a question that I think maybe Paolo could answer about. The question is, my daughter has been using PS4 to play Minecraft. We're wondering how difficult it is to transition to the Java version.
Yeah, sure. We found that we have a lot of kids who come and join us from many different platforms. So we'll have kids who've only played the mobile version or the Nintendo Switch version. And at the heart of it, Minecraft is still the same game. It's just a matter of getting used to the controls and stuff. So it shouldn't be that hard of a switch for sure. You just need to find some compatible machines that can run Java Edition.
There are also some cross-platform differences just in really specific features of each game. So for example, really, I guess, niche uses of Bedrock Edition might not be in the Java Edition and vice versa. So when we switch from one version to another, we might get, I guess, some cross-platform incompatibility like that. But like Paulo said, at the end of the day, it's the same game. Almost all of the features are the same. And I find that Java Edition is actually a lot more accessible because it gives you a lot of room to mess around with the things that you do through our plugins and also through actual usage of the game, just because I find that using a computer is a lot more conducive to actually immersing yourself in this game.
Thanks for those answers, everyone. So there's a question around, do the camps sell out? How long beforehand should we book? Aiden, do you want to field that, or do you want me to answer that?
Sure. I mean, last summer all of our sessions sold out. Our registration is open and people are already signing up. So we would recommend that you sign up as early as possible.
Thank you for that. There's another question around when is the Minecraft server open and can they build and play after hours? Do you want to answer that, Aiden?
Sure. So, we try to keep our server only open during camp hours. And we do this just because it is a private closed server. And it's really important that we have a camp leader present while kids are building on our server. So the server is only open during camp hours. And this is just to sort of add a layer of safety and privacy to make sure that everyone's respecting each other's builds and working on things together.
Excellent. And there's a question around will this video be online? Yes, this video will be on our website. It'll be also on our YouTube. I did share that link in the chat as well. So if you wanted to watch this video of the virtual open house with others, share it. We'd be happy for you to do that. There's another question around the cancellation policy. Aiden, do you want to cover that off or?
Sure. So I believe the cancellation policy is there is a $50 administration fee. So you're allowed to cancel up until June 1st. Yeah, until June 1st. And but we do take a $50 administration fee.
And if it's a matter of just transferring to another program, then that's fine. If it's if we can move you around, that's and the space is there, we're happy to do that as well. If you like, some parents have accidentally registered in the wrong session, so we're happy to move you around, and that's totally fine. Question around, will the styles of architecture be reiterated for Camp 2? Some kids have not done this since last summer and more interested in the gaming aspect. Paolo, actually maybe let's talk to Sadi and Sadat as well. I think we're going to be injecting some new content, right? And so do you want to just talk a little bit about that?
Definitely. So Camp 2 and Camp 1, they're definitely going to have like different concepts. According to the activities that will be carried out and the kids will be doing. So definitely Camp 2 is going to have like a little more theory, kind of like architects and architectural styles and different whatnot. Camp 1 is going to be a little more fun kind of architectural styles and things. Yeah.
And then I think, Paolo, did you want to add to that as well?
Sure. So like Sadat said, we're planning on kind of completely revamping Camp 1 and Camp 2. The idea will stay the same, that Camp 1 is more suited towards people who are kind of more interested in, the intro to architecture and getting their feet wet with Minecraft, and Camp 2 will be suited towards people who are, more advanced and familiar with the software. Maybe Kat can speak a little bit to the differences and what Camp 2 looks like for people who have done the camp previously.
Thanks. So from my experiences of running both Camp 1 and Camp 2 over this past year, I found that Camp 1 tends to be geared to a lot more honed in building around specific styles. So we spend each week talking about a different era of architectural building. So for example, one week we would talk about Asian architecture and we would focus on building temples and these things. And then later we work on things like Egyptian. So I know that we're now revamping and we're not going to cover these things, but just as an example, once a child finishes this camp, not that we expect a sort of transition to Camp 2, but it's really, it helps having this background knowledge in Camp 2. But also since Camp 2 reinforces a lot more technical skills and using past knowledge to make a game inside of Minecraft, it's not necessary that children have prior Camp 1 experiences. It's definitely a big factor is interest. So I find that a lot of children, they find it a lot more engaging to use their own interests in history or architecture to use specific architectural styles, but also some like to use Minecraft and make their own ideas in a sort of a framework of this game to make their own concepts and stories. If I didn't meander too far from the original question.
Oh, that's great. I think I just want to add a little bit to it too, which is that this year we're also really looking at city and community building and the ways in which people make architecture around the world. And so the kind of global perspective. So I think, the ways, traditional ways of making in other places, how that looks. And so there's always really interesting things, but I think this year there's a focus on how cities and communities are developed around the world. So there is that theme as well. So I think I hope that answers your question. I don't see any more questions right now in the Q&A. Aiden, and so I throw it back to you, Aiden, and maybe the group to kind of provide any closing things, or if there's any stories. Like, I think there's always really great bonding stories between the kids and the leaders. I think that's really the power of these programs, is that the kids come up with these concepts and these worlds together. They build it, they really bond with one another, and they have really fun kind of insider jokes, and it's really great to see. They're in, I think last summer when COVID was pretty new. We had one parent say it was the first time that they heard their child laugh since the COVID lockdown. And so things like that make us really excited and happy to hear that the kids are really bonding with one another. And we were just amazed at just how quickly that happened online, because I think being online now is different because we've had a year like this, but last year we weren't sure how it was going to go. And we found that they really did connect with one another. So I'll throw it back to the group so Aiden, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I just wanted to mention, Minecraft allows people to build outside of the confines of regular physics. So outside of gravity, outside of what we know the world to exist. So one of my favorite parts about the program is watching the students learn about all these different, very real world forms of architecture building. So buttresses and pillars and, all these different real things that make buildings exist, and then watching them take that knowledge and bring it into our server and sort of let their creativity soar. And then the imagination takes off, and the things that they build, because Minecraft allows them to sort of be a little bit more creative, really come up with new forms and new ways of thinking about building and building cities. So that is always super impressive to me. And I'm really excited to see what everyone builds this summer.
Okay, how about Paolo and Kat? Do you want to say anything about kind of the experiences? And
Sure. Back when I was a camp leader in the summer, one thing that we found, especially with the online programming, is that kids can start off sort of shy about it. This may have just been because, back then online programming was just starting to be really new and super widespread. Now your kids may be super used to it, but we still find that there are kids who will be taking a bit more time to adjust to the online setting, but also be working in a group. So since your kids will be working really, really closely with their camp leaders, as well as 4 or 5 other kids, it can be that really new environment. And for the first days or the Monday for the summer, it will be like that. But we find that as the kids build a lot and work together in a group, by come Friday, all of the kids are super, super tight with each other. We've rarely had groups where kids feel alienated. I don't think we've ever had any issues with that. Some of our returning members who've visited us in many weeks over the summer, and even sometimes visited us in the fall and winter, will be people who've bonded super tightly with camp leaders. And a lot of the returning kids will find that they have certain stories from previous times that they've joined the camp, and they want to inject it into the world that they're building, time come around. So just one little story I'll share. Over the summer, we had a brother pair who built a story around the mythological figure of Zeus, and they decided to shave him because, Minecraft and kids are silly like that. But the next time they joined the camp, they decided to continue the storyline of Shave Zeus, and they brought his wife and his kids into it. And it evolved from just being this silly little storyline that these two brothers came up with, and everybody in their group ended up going along with it. And the third time they came around, everybody in the camp knew the name Shave Zeus, and finding that these kids take these small little silly things and work with their team and kind of come up with these amazing stories and bond with other people, being able to see them really grow into the camp is super, super fun to see. And it's the kind of stuff that we really do this camp for. And I love that.
Kat, did you want to say anything?
One really important part of the actual dynamics between our groups is that not only do you form a sort of bond between your own group members, but also there's a really fun dynamic between your own group and other groups of other leaders. And it develops into this really cool, almost like collaborative rivalry, especially when we play mini games to cool off, because now there's an aspect of both collaboration and also a sort of, I don't want to say competition, but more so like everybody's feeding off of each other's ideas and comparing things that they've built and trying to see, oh, what could I add to mine? Or what could I contribute to your build so that we both have something really cool? And at the end of it, we'd find that a lot of our kids were playing the games of other groups and offering their own suggestions. And it makes a really cool collaborative environment where all the kids are collaborating, even if they're not in the same group, and communicating directly via Zoom, because obviously there's chat function in Minecraft and you can still talk to other people around you. And not only when we were playing mini games, we would form really weird alliances or rivalries between groups and between leaders and have a fun sort of story dynamic as we go throughout the weeks of camp. But also by the time we reach the end of it, everybody has contributed to each other's games in some way. So it feels like a really big group effort when we look at it from a distance.
And that closing ceremony, there's always like a video that's made that shows all the builds, and it's really like quite moving, that closing ceremony. And we'll have people who are really sad to be leaving the camp. And we were talking about this before we started, and how, we've had participants be really moved by that final kind of video of all the different creations that happened. It's really cool. And I think Sadi and Sadat, even though AALD is new, like I think if I recall right, like you were inspired by the Minecraft program and you've set up your own Minecraft server for Daniel's students. Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so personally, I've been playing Minecraft since I was really, really young, basically before, just when Minecraft came out. And I feel like Minecraft is such a great game for designers and architects, because it really allows us to express ourselves creatively with others, especially during the times of COVID where we're, so locked down and we don't see each other. So the students here, like our faculty, the students we have in our undergraduate program, we have our own server, and as architects, we just like to wind down and build things there and find new ways to, express ourselves like architecturally through Minecraft using the various tools that Minecraft has to offer.
And if I like to add to that, I'm just really excited to see like how the kids apply the architectural knowledge and everything that we will be providing them with, and how that would reflect in their builds at Minecraft, because it's just not it's just that when you know about architecture, and you just see your surroundings in a different way. So it really helps you in a way, I would say. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing the builds that are going to be made this year. Yeah, really looking forward to that.
Awesome. So I think We're really excited. So if you have more questions, yes, we have a lot of information on the website. And so you can go there. It's through the outreach link. We're going to send an email today that shows all the different virtual open houses. So if you missed any, you'll be able to watch them again. And we're also asking for a little bit of feedback around how our overall website's getting restructured. So we hope that you'll assist us with that. But we are also available. So Aiden and I field calls and emails all the time. So the information is on the website. There's contact information. I answer phone calls pretty much anytime. So if you need to talk to someone, you can. We really are super excited for this summer and we really hope to see all of you this summer. So I think we will leave it at that and just say thanks everyone for coming, and we can't wait to see you this summer.